right, barely functioning back at it.
Bada bing.
Bada bing, bada boom. We're going to be talking about Superman casting. We've all seen it on the internet. We all have our thoughts.
And we have our thoughts.
Yeah, and I'm sure you care about it so much. I'm sorry, I don't know why that sounded so sarcastic coming out of my
Will,
mouth.
why aren't you excited about Superman?
I like Superman. He's one of my favorite, but something about this movie, man, it's just not hyping me. You know what it is?
We are far out.
We're far out, and James Gunn is chronically online, not shutting up about it. He is constantly reminding us.
He's got nothing to do right now. There's a strike.
No, this was before the strike. He was constantly reminding us, hey, guess what, guys? I'm making a Superman movie.
Well, yeah. They need to do some marketing for DC because it's a mess right now.
Got Blue Beetle. They don't have any marketing going on for that.
Well, yeah, because of strikes, those sorry bastards.
So, yeah, I think it's just the constant news that we were getting, especially surrounding the casting of Superman, was just working against the hype for me. I was not getting excited for it. In fact, I was getting sick of hearing about it.
But with the current affair of DC, wouldn't you rather want to hear stuff than be like, what are they doing?
I think I'm I'm the everyman here. I think I represent because I feel like the general public is kind of sick of superhero movies, superhero fatigue, which we can do another video about. But I think I'm just at the moment where I'm not that interested in superhero movies that feel like just generic superhero movies. I feel like when you have a sense of, ooh, this guy's a real auteur and he's bringing his own style to it, like Matt Reeves in the Batman, I get hyped for that. But when it's just the character and you don't really have a creative vision that's really fresh or something that will have a very specific take on it, it's tougher to get hyped about it because then it's really just the property you're getting hyped for.
As a fan that has been disappointed by the DCEU, we're not seeking out the info, but we're seeing it because we care about DC.
And that's the thing.
I think the everyday man isn't seeing James Gunn tweet every day
Fair
about DC.
enough. But it's kind of one of those things where everything I've heard about Superman Legacy has been against my will. Everything I have heard and learned, everything I know about this movie is I've learned unwillingly.
But we gotta talk about it.
We will. We've got to. We're forced to. So this casting is it was mostly, we were actually planning on doing it just about the Superman and Lois Lane, but since then multiple characters have been confirmed for this movie. So
who I wouldn't think would be in
I'm surprised.
a Superman movie.
Definitely, especially a first Superman movie. This is the start of a Superman franchise.
It started at DCU.
Oh, that's convoluted. We know how he's playing that marketing game, so it's kind of all over the board. What's the start of the DCU? What carries over?
No, Superman is for sure the start of the DCU. For sure.
Well, he said Blue Beetle's the first DCU character.
In first DCU character that we see in the DCU.
Kind of, it gets convoluted.
But the way he makes it sound is like, I think he's doing, because he said the Flash movie was going to be great. We both thought it was good.
Yeah.
Since then, I still think it's an all right movie, but my hype for it has died down after letting it settle a little more.
I like any other movie. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like the movie, but I think it doesn't make sense in a larger picture of things.
But he said it was an amazing superhero movie, which it was not an amazing.
Tom Cruise said it was great too.
A lot of people said it was great. Was not great. I think he's just saying the Blue Beetle stuff because I think Warner Brothers is like, hey, we just spent a ton of money on this new character. He's going to be in your universe.
Warner Brothers is praising the movie gods that Barbie's apparently just going to make a ton of money, because if they didn't have Barbie, it's like
I think pre-sales Barbie's supposed to make more than Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Barbie is going to go nuts, and Warner Brothers is going to have a hit. So that's not a superhero thing. Anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
James Gunn's just I think Superman is clearly the start. That's where he wants it to be. I think the Blue Beetle thing and anything else other than Peacemaker, because that's his baby. Mm-hmm. Everything else is literally just because DC's like Warner Brothers like, hey, just you gotta. We need people to go see this, so please don't say no. It's not in it.
Right.
Like Warner Brothers, Flash did awful in the box office.
Dude, it
God
bombed.
awful.
So yeah, Blue Beetle bombs.
Warner
too.
Brothers wasn't gonna be like, hey, yeah, don't. You can say the Flash isn't gonna be in the DCU, but like, still talk good about it. I don't know how Aquaman's gonna do, because now everyone's like, well, DCU's for sure dead. They're just changing everything.
Yeah, some people. There was a conspiracy I read. Conspiracy, so take it with a grain of salt. But that people were saying that James Gunn is actually hoping or trying, with the lack of marketing. People are saying it, the lack of marketing behind Blue Beetle is they want it to not do well, and then basically when the DCEU is fizzling out and the DCU comes by, Superman's going to be a success. That by comparison, it's going to look like James Gunn saved everything.
Yeah,
that's the conspiracy that I read.
I think if it's a good movie, anything will be like a breath of fresh air.
Dude, I got to get out of this DC algorithm thing, this movie algorithm thing in Twitter, because it's getting tough to just being on my feed. Because some people were even saying like they would like Wally West to be the Flash, which I'm a fan of, but I feel like you got to all these characters are legacy characters. You got to start with, like, you got to start with Barry Allen, and that's the thing. Is with the Batman movie too, with Damian Wayne being the Robin. It's like, what's going on with Dick Grayson? What's going on with that? And it's just it seems
they can't do it good though. They can't. Like they try to do it in Batman vs Superman, where there was history with Batman.
Exactly, but I think you got to start with square one.
But it's okay to have history. I feel like it's okay to just delve in and be like, okay, there's history, if you don't ignore the history like Batman vs Superman did.
Well, we'll see, because they might be falling into that given the pre-existing characters in the Superman casting, which we can go across.
Yes.
So we'll just start with the obvious, which is Superman and Lois. It's David Corn Sweat and Rachel Brosnahan.
Which I think they'll make a great pairing.
I think it's a solid pairing. See, now the funny thing is the Superman one, in my opinion, that was his to lose. Because in all of the reports that were being released, it was David Corn Sweat, another unknown actor, and then Nicholas Hoult. And so you basically said, we have Nicholas Hoult, a guy that we have Nicholas Hoult, we have a guy that doesn't look like Superman, and we also have a guy that looks exactly like Superman. I'm like,
people are comparing him to Henry Cavill so much.
Yeah, it's kind of that generic and name brand meme that's going around. Very funny. I'm a fan of that. And then but I mean, visually, I think he looks great. I haven't seen him in much, so I can't really speak to whether or not I feel like, oh, he'll be perfect. But visually, he looks like Superman. What more can you ask for?
Right. I'm sure he can bulk up and be what we need from a Superman.
Lois Lane, I could ask for more, because I know of the casting rumors, the one they were pairing up was David Cornsweet and Emma Mackey.
Yes.
I am a fan of Emma Mackey. I thought she would have been a really good Lois Lane, so I was actually polling for her to win. But Rachel Brosnahan looks solid. I know she's the marvelous Miss Maisel. So I don't know if it. Yeah, I know, but she has that period piece look about her.
She does.
She looks old fashioned, not in a bad way.
No, but I feel like it would fit in the Metropolis.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's going to be like that 1930s chum kind of.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's not. I'm sure she has range. She's an actress, but I've always seen her as the a period piece.
Yep.
Now, so Superman, Lois, solid picks. Nothing really more to talk about.
What you expect in a Superman movie too? Superman and Lois, casting them.
Yes. So that's good. And can I say, because I know this, I am so glad that Lois Lane is just now dark-haired again.
Amy Adams.
I hated the fact that Lois Lane was just Amy Adams. Like, it was Amy Adams, but it was just redhead. I didn't buy her as Lois Lane 1 second. And so I'm just glad that Lois Lane finally looks like Lois Lane again.
Yeah, after I watched Man of Steel recently, and then went back and watched some of the Superman animated shows.
Dude.
And I was like, I like this Lois Lane way more than the Amy Adams one. Not saying she's bad or anything. It didn't feel like Lois.
No, it didn't. And so I'm glad that Lois is going to look like Lois again. Also on the casting is, surprise, surprise, 52-year-old Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner.
Which is sad.
Oh, yes.
Because ever since he started doing Hal Jordan's voice in the animated movies
years
ago, when we were in high school, middle school, and it's like, oh, he'd be a perfect Hal Jordan if he just could play it now.
Mm-hmm. And then I think they waited too long. That would have been perfect. It's perfect timing for Hal Jordan.
I think it's cool that he's doing a Green Lantern.
Yes.
As Guy Gardner.
Now, what do you think? Because I personally like Hal Jordan. I think he would fit more into Hal Jordan. I'm not a fan of Guy Gardner, but the big takeaway was that he is 52 years old. So I'm not age shaming, but people are saying that it was ironic, given one of the stipulations of Henry Cavill not returning was that he was called too old to play Superman at the age of 39, 40.
I just think especially because Guy Gardner is literally the middle Green Lantern, where it's Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, and then Jon Stewart, and everyone loves Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. So I feel like they have more leeway of what they can do with Guy Gardner.
Oh, definitely.
Like making him older. And not everyone being like freaking out, like, why is he so old? Like, this doesn't fit. I think if you did an older Superman, I would want Cavill back. I want him back.
Well, see, that's what I'm confused by.
But if they're going younger with Superman, that's fine.
And that's the thing.
But they're doing older with another character. So, it doesn't bother me.
Well, here's the thing: is there seems to be a lot of history going along here because there's other characters involved. There's Mr. Terrific and there's Hawk Girl as well. That's confirmed for this movie. And so, although this will be the first kind of movie that Superman's going to be in, and an origin story of types for him, there's going to be pre-existing superheroes.
Yes.
And for Hawkgirl, it's Isabella Merced.
Dora
the Explorer. Jacob found out. Which is,
I didn't realize she was Dora.
And then Eddie Gathegi for Mr. Terrific. He played Darwin in X-Men First Class, if you remember that bit part. Yeah. And so there's pre-existing superheroes, and so it'll be interesting to see how a new superhero, Superman being the new kid on the block, is an interesting take.
Is he? I'm granted, it's all very early and everything, but like the subplot with these characters I'm hearing is that, Superman's a new kid on the block, but I think he's been there a year or two.
You know what? It's
as Superman.
I know it's all kind of
speculation. But these people, they're not the Justice Society, but like they're a team, I think. But the way they distribute justice is in a very, I think the description I got was harsh and mean way. Like they're kind of like bullies. That's what I'm hearing. Like they're like bullies, and then Superman's supposed to come in and show how to be like a
good superhero. But I don't see now that I don't.
I think that's the plot that's getting leaked right now.
If that's the plot, I'm not really a fan of it, to be honest. But
it's giving me vibes of like the Peacemaker team, and then Superman comes in and is like, no, that's not how we do justice. Like I'm not scared, but I have a feeling that's how James Gunn's going to do it.
That sounds very.
I
don't mean to meanly. It just sounds kind of like a Barney plot. Where
I think that's the plot leak I saw. Obviously, it's a leak, and it could be totally false.
It'll be interesting, but I know that James Gunn also confirmed that Authority characters in the Authority will appear in Superman. So it seems like to hit the ground running in the sense of world building.
I don't think it'll be a huge part. Like I think that's why they announced these characters early.
That's the thing. It just surprised me because the movie definitely feels more crowded than I expected.
Already.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like a couple months out and they're like, hey, these people are going to be in it too. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's already feels like, wait, I thought this was a Superman movie.
That's the problem is I thought this was a Superman movie. I thought it was going to be a simple one. And already it looks a little bit more complex than just.
It is called Superman Legacy, though.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. But there's only so much we can speculate for it. But I can say that it does feel more crowded than I expected.
Yeah, and I don't hate any of the castings.
No, none of the casting is bad, but it's just surprising to see these characters.
That's the big news is that these three characters got announced, and I wasn't expecting. Why is Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner in a Superman movie?
Yeah, and it's just a weird pick, honestly.
Yeah,
and all this stuff. Now also Metamorpho has been confirmed.
That's right, and he's going to be in the movie too, right?
Yeah, and maybe he's who knows who the main villain is. We don't know anything, but Metamorpho.
I do like that.
Solid pick.
Yes, solid.
Now, if you had to pick kind of a Superman villain, what would you go for? I also heard that this was one of the inspirations for this movie was Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's Superman Brainiac, which I was a fan of the
Don't
comic.
do Brainiac.
I like Brainiac, but it'd be interesting. It would be a choice to make him the first one. It's kind of
definitely not the first.
Well, if you're in the mood for world building, I think he might be the first one to go for. But who would you?
Brainiac's like the trilogy ender.
Ooh, I like that one. I like that actually.
That's the third film. That's how you end. Like,
what's some of your favorite superhero man villains? But who's the one that you would put in the first movie?
You gotta do Luthor.
I would do Luthor, but I wouldn't have him. Well, he would be like the pulling the strings.
True.
I would have Parasite. I'm a big fan of Parasite.
Yeah.
And I think that you could say like, oh, he was kind of controlled or created even by LexCorp.
Yes.
And just have Parasite be the villain that Superman's fighting, but then obviously Lex Luthor is the actual villain behind it all.
Yeah.
That's
I like that.
But I mean, who do you? What are some of yours? I know Bizarro's out there. I know people like Metallo. Metallo is a surprise.
Metallo would be a interesting like first villain because he can battle Superman, but he's also not like he's not a Brainiac.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you go Brainiac too fast,
so you can't go too big too soon.
Because then what are you going to do after that?
I agree.
And this is another point that I saw. I think this was the point I was talking before the podcast that I was like, what was that? Based on how superhero films are doing money wise, they're spending $250 million.
Dude, crazy.
Making a superhero movie. This Superman movie, it has to be profitable. I think it has to be like $100 million.
The budget should be.
They should do a small budget, tight knit story superhero film, and I think it can work with Superman.
It can, and you know what's showing that small stories can work with Superman is the new show, My Adventures with Superman.
Is that animated one?
It's an animated.
I have not seen that yet.
I haven't seen too much of it, but what I have seen now, the tone is more childish than I expected.
Yes.
Not a problem. Kids need a Superman cartoon. But it shows that people like the smaller stories centered around Clark, Lois, and Jim. Like
and have you heard of the Superman and Lois show by CW?
Yeah, people seem to really like that too.
I've seen clips, and I absolutely love every clip I watch.
Which is ironic because you think Superman, you think it has to be the giant thing, but no, you're right. I think it should be $100 million. It should be a smaller story, more intimate look at just the characters.
Where you don't need crazy explosions or nothing. Like you have a couple of cool scenes with cool CGI,
but the characters drive it.
Yeah, if you do Brainiac, that's easy a $300 million movie, and then like even if it makes $800 million in the box office, it's not that profitable.
I completely agree.
It needs to be a small, tight-knit story where you just get Superman.
So I'm surprised. I wonder how Metamorpho's, like, the amount of screen time and the amount of threat that Metamorpho is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like Metamorpho, but he's always seemed more like whenever you watched him in a show, he was like he would be doing a crime in the beginning, and they would get him away quickly, but you got some action from it. Yeah, but it's just, another Superman villain that I really like that could be a good one for this first one is Livewire. Just because when we're talking about lower tiered villains, nothing too big. I'm a fan of Livewire, but Parasite is always the one that I go for because I think Parasite is such a good villain.
Yeah.
And a perfect one against Superman.
I think any of those. I don't know if you just go straight. If you do the C tier mixed with Lex,
Luthor, perfect.
Perfect. Or if you get a B tier,
mm-hmm.
I think they need to go that route. You do not go full on A tier right away unless it's Lex pulling the strings.
But yeah, you can't be Lex. Yeah, it has to be Lex pulling the strings, but then a B tier teaming up with him. Like he doesn't even know. He doesn't even realize.
Yep.
I think a Metallo Lex or a Parasite Lex team up would be perfect.
Yep.
But that's I'm surprised we haven't heard anything more on that sense of Lex Luthor casting.
Well, it's still 2 years away.
But I know, but all this other casting is set in stone. It's kind of confirmed. It's kind of crazy that Lex is still a question mark. And
I'm sure
honestly,
they want to keep some stuff.
Oh well, I don't know. I mean, James Gunn's chronically online and won't stop talking about it. So it'll be interesting. But this is a quick video. Actually, we're only 20 minutes in. I think I think this is
Yeah,
a
we got our
solid one.
thoughts out. Yeah, we don't hate the castings.
No, it's solid, but it's a wait and see moment, and there's so much speculation and ifs that
Yeah,
there's
and
only so much we can talk
once we
about.
see a trailer and get more sense of what kind of story it's gonna be.
I think that's why it's irritating to me is because we know so much about it, but we know so little about it
Yeah.
too. That it's like, okay, well, we can talk about it, but what can we talk about?
Yep.
There's like nothing to talk about, but yet there's still news surrounding it.
Is
It's a
it-
very strange paradox type
Is it
thing.
coming out early 2025?
I couldn't tell you for the life of me. It sounds
It's
like a
not
summer movie.
2024, right?
Wait. No, you're right. I think I remember seeing 2025. It's 2025.
I mean, it's almost 2024, so it's not that far out.
I'll put in the video when it's coming out. But thanks for clicking on the video. Thanks for hearing our thoughts. We'll be back again.
Hopefully,
Hopefully.
if we don't die watching Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah, we're seeing that tonight. Jeez. Yeah. What have we done? If we survive the screenings, we'll let you know. I hope you never know. I mean, we'll probably share our thoughts on that movie sometime. But
Oh, we will.
until next time, folks.